Fox 45 News continues following the recent indictment of Brandon Grimes. Grimes is serving a life sentence for the murder of a Baltimore City police officer nearly 20 years ago. But he now faces new charges from the state's attorney's office for orchestrating a scheme to get out of prison and receive financial benefits. Joining us now is the chief of the Conviction Integrity Unit for the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office, Lauren Lipscomb. Thank you, Lauren, for coming in. You uncovered this case. Take us through the evidence against Grimes.
Thank you. Yes, we have charged Mr. Grimes, and should mention that these, of course, the indictment represents allegations, and Mr. Grimes is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Mr. Grimes actually filed what's called a petition for writ of actual innocence in March of 2024. And when he filed that petition, he attached a couple of documents to that motion. And so as a state's attorney's office, we are tasked with reviewing those documents. And at some point, one of the documents looked a little bit suspicious, and we were reviewing the case, and the team came in and said, hey, we've got this document. It looks a little suspicious. I said, yep, I think this is a fake, but prove me wrong. And from there, an investigation was undertaken. And at the end of that, the matter was turned over to the Baltimore Police Department's Homicide Division for investigation, which resulted in charges.
You have said this case may only be the tip of the iceberg as it relates to people taking advantage of the criminal justice system. How big do you think a problem is this? Do you feel like you see you catch all of these fraudulent paperwork, that type of thing?
So I would say that what's really key is to make sure that there are persons who are experienced with the system who are reviewing these cases to identify these kinds of schemes, these kinds of games that people do play. Unfortunately, in the instance that we're talking about, what was uncovered and what's part of the public record is that this individual was looking to not only secure his release from DOC, but also to make off with money, to essentially attempt to steal. It is alleged that he was attempting to steal money from the state of Maryland. And that's where it gets a little bit complicated. I actually was one of the loudest supporters of a recent Compensation Act, which is the Walter Lomax Act, which passed in the Maryland General Assembly, and permits individuals to be compensated if they have been wrongfully convicted and have been in prison for a crime not committed. And that was in 2019, and for the years earlier than that, that I supported that legislation, and I was very vocal about that. When the legislation, however, came to a point where it was about to pass, it turns out that there was a loophole within that legislation. And that loophole was such that a person could be in criminal court, could file a post-trial motion, that be granted, and then that person then could go over to the Office of Administrative Hearings, basically civil court, and say, hey, I'm factually innocent, and the state of Maryland should pay me money. So it's a little complicated, and I understand it sounds like it's a little bit in the weeds, but there is a loophole, and for whatever reason, the last administration did not listen to the warnings about that particular loophole, and the chair of the Erroneous Conviction Committee also, for whatever reason, did not heed warnings, if in fact our office had raised them with him, that there were going to be these instances, given that there was a pathway for individuals to make their way over to the Office of Administrative Hearings and an attempt to secure money from the state of Maryland. We've actually had one such case.
Yeah, so interesting. So it sounds like maybe for next session, lawmakers will have to close that loophole. Very interesting, but this case at least bringing that to light. Baltimore County Assistant State's Attorney Lauren Lipscomb, thank you so much for coming in, talking to us about this case, which is super interesting for all of its complexities. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Thanks. I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.